What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Movie Positive. Welcome back to Drunk Reviews. And today we are watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Season 1, Episode 4. Pat came back for this week. Yeah, you disappeared last week?
Yeah. I was in the TVA.
He was off doing a meet cute.
I was in the TVA. I was off doing a meet cute with Ryan Russell.
But before we start this video, I just want to give a quick shout out. R.I.P. DMX.
Gonna give it to you.
Yeah. He was a very inspirational rapper and grew up with DMX. And,
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, he was...
I saw DMX on the beach in Atlantic City once.
Yeah, he
dope.
did invite me, and I was very upset. But
My bad.
seriously, now, in all seriousness, though, R.I.P. I love you. Rest in peace. But let's get into this episode. You know how we do in Movies Be Positive. We go very chaotic. We don't.
I can't help myself. Blood on Cap.
Yeah. Oh my god! Like
he took the serum.
He took the serum.
Used it for the wrong thing. Something I mentioned multiple times while we were watching. Battlestar died.
Yeah.
Something I mentioned multiple times while we were watching the episode was every time they showed Falcon doing like his reasonable thing, the camera was very, very steady. It was on a tripod, it was on a dolly, and it was always very distant. It was a whole frame, very still painted frame. Whenever they showed Cap in this one, in this one,
Meat Cap.
Meat Cap. That's right, Meat Cap. The camera's angled. It's close to him, and it's handheld.
It's handheld. Yeah, it's very like
they did a good job of showing him debilitating.
Yeah,
as that went.
It is shaky too. It's like it's shaky. It is in focus.
Yeah,
it's very close.
In the right way, it's shaky.
Yes.
Because the action's not shaky. It's when it's next to his head, and you feel sort of the discomfort in the character.
Yes.
And they did, and Henry Jackman did such a good job on the score.
Absolutely.
He
has been all season, and it was great to have him back.
Absolutely.
But especially in this episode, he's really starting to ramp it up.
Yeah.
No, but that cause this whole show has had that like we said it. I think we said it in the first episode that Mr. Robot like the camera's very focused in the.
Well, the camera in Mr. Robot does
the camera's like here, like the camera's here. And it's everything else is here, but here it's more focused.
Well, it's either
I'm so drunk. This is drunk reviews.
It's either here, or it's here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of that
here.
where it's like super wide panoscope setting the whole setting the scene. And then the character shots are so in your face and so tight.
Yeah, there's a lot of
claustrophobic.
There's a lot of in your face claustrophobic shots, but they're centered. Like it's not shaky. But with John Walker, all the John Walker shots, especially at the end, it's like that. But it's very like it's chaotic.
Yeah.
It's very shaky. It's very
intentionally chaotic.
Yeah, and I remember the Russos talked about that when they were talking about that scene in Infinity War when it's Thor and the Guardians. It's like it's good to shoot handheld when you're having conversations.
Yeah, and comedy they said too, because comedy
which contradicts everything I'm talking about.
No, actually, not at all. Because comedy is a big part of it. Is the element of surprise, an element of chaos. So handheld cam things seem a little more natural. And with that whole John Walker thing, that handheld cam being in his face, it's like a little relatable. It's a little chaotic. It doesn't have sharp edges. It's really, it's a little all over the place.
Yeah,
which is good.
Which helps with the build towards. Let's get back to it. The last scene of him just fucking killing that guy.
Yeah,
just brutally
in front of everybody. What a great episode to have.
Did you ever think
world to see or whatever?
Yeah, I never
thought
thought
of watching something like that.
The whole world to see, whole world is watching. But did you ever think we'd see like that amount of blood?
I mean, we've seen blood on Cap's shield before,
Shield,
but it's Nazi blood, so it's like, who gives a shit? But like,
not like that.
No,
like
that was like they're doing a really good job of
like,
humanizing the Flag Smashers in a way of like, yes, they're doing fucked up things. Clearly, Carly Morgenthau is making a lot of bad decisions. Clearly, she's got some fascist ideals or whatever. But on top of that, they're doing a good job of showing you like these are kids. Like they really think they know what's going on, but they don't, and they're trying really hard to make a difference. But really, all they're doing is hurting people.
It's kind of like a lot of like I don't mean to go down this road, and maybe we'll cut it out after. But it's kind of like a lot of kids nowadays. Like they want to be very progressive. They want to be involved in the conversation, but
there's that great conversation that Anthony Mackie has with her where she's like, "What, you don't stand against fascist regimes?" She says something like along those lines, and he goes, I agree with your cause. I just can't agree with he says, I agree with your fight. I don't agree with the way you're fighting it. Like you can,
Yes, right,
and that's such a good grounded conversation. Like ideologically opposed, them coming to each other on the level of soldiers. It's like, now obviously the end of this scene goes a totally different way, but it's like when Samuel L. Jackson sits down with Bruce Dern in The Hateful Eight, and he's like, we shared a battlefield, before he gets to the whole thing. You see the pictures now, ain't you? Before you get to all that, the guy's like, we did share a battlefield. Even though they're enemies, they're like, we're both soldiers. Let's speak to each other as soldiers. And that's kind of what that moment is. They're looking at, even though they don't agree with each other, they're like, look, I've seen some shit too. I know how it feels to lose people. Like, let's just talk about it for a second. I'm not here to fight you. And I thought that was a really mature and responsible approach that Falcon had to that Sam had to that.
No, I totally
Unarmed,
agree. And it was a great scene.
Super soldier.
It was a great scene. Great dialogue. Great
I turned to you when I went, that was the best written scene in the show so far.
Yeah, it was very great. And full disclosure, Pat hadn't seen last week's episode, so we watched both back to back.
Today, yeah.
And side note, you saw our review last week. I liked episode 3, but it was definitely the weakest of maybe all of the Marvel shows.
That's probably true. Well, I mean, not if you include like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But
yeah, well, that doesn't. We want to talk in humans. We might go action shows, Iron Fist. Like we want to go there.
But
that's all about.
You know what line?
Also, John Berthal is coming on the show. Bold prediction.
You heard it here first.
Yes.
You know what moment I really, really liked in it, because it's a great, quick little moment in there when they're in that apartment with Zemo, and they're talking to him about super soldiers, and they're just conversing about it. There's a really special line I noticed in there that I wanted to save to talk to you about with this review, where he's talking about taking the super soldier serum and what it does to people and everything. And he's like, it changes people. And Sam says to Zemo, he goes, well, it didn't change Steve. And Zemo, who believes that super soldiers
with a cookie in his
should not exist, says, well, have you ever known another Steve Rogers?
Yes. Oh, that was
because
a great
I got chills just thinking of it, because he witnessed all of that happen with Civil War, and the honor of Steve trying to defend his friend and do the right thing for his other friend, and like, he knows, like, Zemo knows that he believes very firmly that super soldiers should not be allowed to exist, which is a great line with Anthony Mackie. Right. He's like, that sounds like a god speaking. That was hilarious. Like, but him saying that is like, he knows super soldiers shouldn't exist because of the will of people. But the one person that is a super soldier that he looks at, that he's like, well, I mean, Steve Rogers was a good man, and really no bad came out of him getting the super soldier serum. But people are generally bad, and Steve Rogers is an outlier. Yeah. So in that moment, Zemo, being as smart as he is, low key is like, I love Steve Rogers. Yeah. Like because he says like, have you ever known another? What he's saying is the super soldier serum is in a bottle. Steve Rogers is 1 billion. Yeah. Like,
so even he understands the greatness of Steve Rogers.
It's incredible.
And us as fans makes us like Steve Rogers even more. Fucking Zemo likes him.
And when you go back and watch Civil War, like I've seen the movie a billion times. There are moments where Zemo's watching them all fight, and you see him sort of cock his head and be impressed with the resolve of Cap. Yeah. You see him. He watches Cap fight, and there's moments where he's like, "Wow, I didn't expect that." Yeah. Like he sees. Yeah. Cap just has so much vigor. Yeah. So much resolve.
Like he's an icon. He's an enigma. Dude, how sick was it? Cut back to it. How sick was it when the Dora Milaje fought, and then they actually got Cap's shield,
and the way she
oh dude, that was a sick fucking scene.
That really bothered him when she handed it back to him. Yeah, he didn't like that.
No, he didn't. First he got his ass kicked. He got his fucking ass kicked
because he's literally like, she could have kept that. Yeah, she gave it back to him. Yeah.
Because he never dealt with Wakandans. Like, they're a whole nother breed. It's like, don't fuck with. Like, they made that shield is vibranium.
The way she got
that's their country.
Vibranium spear through the 2 spools on the shield and pinned him down to the table, and he's there for like a full minute and a half trying to get it off. They could have killed him at any moment. That's why when he got it off, he just sat down. He's like, I just lost that fight. Yeah, I just lost that fight, dude.
Yeah, the way they incorporated them, and I made the joke to you earlier. It's like, they took I know so much about Marvel lore, I don't know what the fuck that woman's name is. She's been in Civil War, she's been in Civil War, Black
Panther,
Endgame, Infinity War.
Yeah.
Like, she's been in all the movies. I don't know her name, but
that's one of the great
the way
things
they incorporated in her, and what I don't know her name. I'll look it up after. But I thought she was great in it. I thought she very well fit the show.
Yeah.
When I said that Deadpool joke to you, it's almost like the studio couldn't afford Wakandans.
So, well, you know,
it's like we couldn't get Shuri, we couldn't get Okoye, we couldn't get Lupita.
The thing is,
we couldn't get Chadwick, R.I.P.
Well, it's partially true.
Let's get that one girl who was in the background, had a few lines.
Look, well, that's partially true.
Oh, you won't be believed.
All right. But that's partially true, and you had been talking about this earlier about how much better Age of Ultron is now with the growth of WandaVision on top of it. One of the good things about, I think, the Marvel television universe is you can take these characters that have only had a line or two and really expand on them.
Expand them, yeah.
So now when you
especially
go back...
with Disney Plus and longer episodes.
Now when you go back and you watch scenes of the White Wolf in Wakanda, you know that he was sitting there with her and she's training him to be resistant to the words now.
Yeah.
And so now there's a whole lore there. There's a whole other story happening. And it grows the universe retroactively. Like, you go back and watch movies you've seen 10 different times and now you see them in a new way all of a sudden. Like, I'm still like, there is like a beat, like a second string sort of notion to it. But also, I like the...
But also, that's what Sam and Bucky are. They're not
exactly.
main characters. Like, when this show was announced, we're doing Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Give me all side characters.
Yeah, fine.
Shuri is a side character.
Yeah, make it compelling, and that's
everybody loves her, but Shuri is a side character.
She is, yeah. But you said it though. That White Wolf scene where they went back to Wakanda. When Wakanda showed up on the screen, I just it was like
you literally you were like, is that Wakanda? Yeah, dude.
Wakanda. Yeah. I got so pumped and the actual Sebastian Stan, like when we were watching the scene, I was like, dude, give that dude an Emmy. I don't know if the Emmys will ever recognize these shows. I don't know how it's gonna work. Hey, they nominated The Mandalorian. Granted, this isn't The Mandalorian, but still, they did nominate Mandalorian. So
his tears.
Give that man an Emmy.
His tears in that scene were so real.
Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany actually legitimately deserve one, but also give him an Emmy.
Paul Bettany especially. I feel like Elizabeth Olsen did a great job, but Paul Bettany's job was so weird. He did such a good job.
Yes.
I thought it was fantastic.
Yes. But both of them. But that...
Just give all the Emmys and all the Oscars to Marvel.
Yeah.
Of course, that's a joke. I think I'm pulling for Minari.
Is it a joke, though?
I'm pulling for Minari this
year. I am too.
really like
no, I really do. A side note, I did like No Man Land a lot.
I gotta see that still.
No, as much as I did like that movie, I think Minari, what I saw, definitely deserves the Best Picture nomination. But also, I like Chloe Zhao, and I'm excited for Eternals, and I'm excited to see what she does.
So we are closing down on our time limit here, so I'm just going to ask you, final thoughts, how'd you feel about it?
Final thoughts? Definitely was probably the best episode of the season. Like I said before, I was never high on this show. It's not like I didn't care about the show, it's just, like, WandaVision was really good, and Loki. I like more sci-fi and space and weird shit. And Falcon and the Winter Soldier is just, it's fine. It's grounded. It's, I'm blown. I like it more than I did. I will say that.
Yeah.
My expectations had been not blown away, but have been better than what I expected.
The craft of it, I think, is what raised.
Crafted, yes. That's a big thing. I would say the directing is incredible.
Yeah.
Carrie Scoggin, I think her name is.
Yeah.
She's done a great job.
Lighting.
Yeah, the lighting.
All of it.
The performances are great.
She did that great pan focus from the dripping water to Battlestar.
Oh, yeah. That's great. Some of the writing is not that it's bad, it's just very Marvel. In a good way, it's just very...
In that thing about Marvel that's always there, that's kind of like, well, that thing's always going to be there. There's a lot of that here.
Yeah, it's just like, Super Soldier Serum, it's very convenient. And
Sniper rocket launchers and such.
Yeah, it's like WandaVision, like Loki, like that's something like, oh, that's like new, like grounded. Like, that's new shit we haven't seen before.
Here's sort of my final thoughts on the matter is, this show is a lot of that. But it is a lot of fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
A lot. I'm very engaged. It's a lot of fun.
The choreograph and the fighting is just fantastic, and everybody is really bringing it as far as acting goes. I always try to rate things on acting, script, directing, music, and I think the weakest of those four things on this is probably the script. That being said, the execution of acting, directing, and music on this is more than making up for it for me.
Right, yeah.
I am perfectly entertained, almost seems like condescending.
Yeah.
Because I am not only entertained by this, but it's making turns that I'm not expecting.
Right,
I'm jumping out of my seat. I'm getting that Marvel drip. I'm loving it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's not breaking my brain. I'm not coming up with all these theories, thinking like it wasn't.
No, it's not like WandaVision. Like, oh my god, like what's this and that.
I'm having a good time with it. I'm having a really good time with it.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. But as always, like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. As always, first of all, R.I.P. DMX. I love you. Fuck you. I know I said that. But let me tell him to fuck off.
Excelsior, just cheers me and let's end this fucking thing. Just give.
As always, like, subscribe, and Excelsior. R.I.P. DMX.